Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy. And we're going to get out the cards for the story, and then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people are at different emotional maturity levels in their Sagittarius energy. Shadowy, more worldly Sagittarius energy, like the other zodiac signs, is kind of where we can indulge our more immature nature. Pride, ego, fear, insecurity, codependency, manipulative, prideful, egotistical, self-centered, all those kind of things. And some people, high vibe Sagittarius is about higher learning and education, where you kind of learn to temper your more worldly egoic nature. You saw the truth of it. You grew up and you matured yourself, have no interest in repeating some of those old poor past patterns, and you're moving forward in life differently. But we can, our shadow nature is always trying to get us to indulge in our shadowy nature. And there's always going to be shadowy people in the world and in our life that we're going to come across that try to tempt us in our more worldly nature to get in a more involved friendship, relationship, or keep working for them or be employed by them. And, you know, some people have learned that when they see that someone is being shadowy, to see the truth of it and accept the truth of it and move on. And, you know, until you learn that lesson, you might keep putting in a lot of work and effort to try to change other people. And if those people were interested in being different types of people, they would be. And so that we could put a lot of work and effort into it, thinking, you know, if you're motivated in your dualistic nature more by love, you could think everybody's motivated and inspired by love. But we live in a world of duality where people have free will choice, and 50% of the people at any given moment could be a little bit more on the worldly shadowy side, some very much so, some a little bit, you know, just depending on different lessons people have learned. And there's some shadowy people, they're looking for high vibe people, just fair, loving people who are going to keep trying to change them, but they're never going to change, and they know it. But as long as they can have a just, fair, and loving and encouraging person in their life, willing to keep staying in a relationship with them, they'll keep staying in a relationship with them. So, the overarching reason for the reading is the Lover's card, which is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature. You know, are we going to be in a relationship with people who kind of are more on the same page as us, or get in a more mismatched relationship? We start out the reading with two cards not showing themselves, and part of that can be, you know, when we're getting to know people, we don't know how we harness those energies. We're trying to get to know them. Let's go see what those cards are. The Queen of Cups in reverse, and the Seven of Cups. So I view both those cards as Scorpio energy. Scorpio's emotional water sign energy. In high vibe, it's about willing to explore the mysteries of life emotionally. And it starts within ourselves. And that's kind of what the first card down here is about, the Five of Wands. The Four of Wands is Aries energy, about our foundation of self, what motivates and inspires us in the Five of Wands. And some people, it's not love. For some people, they're more superficial and shallow, shadowy Scorpio. And it's really more in all three of their earth sign energies, of their Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. It's more about getting in a relationship to be in a relationship, codependency, fear, insecurity, lust, greed, ego, image, status. And other people are the opposite. You know, they're not more superficial and shallow. They are inspired in all three of their earth sign energies, which then can be about learning lessons in life, healing and growing and maturing themselves. And we get to know people, hopefully, and hopefully we get to know if they seem more superficial and shallow, more about wanting to be indulged in a relationship, more about themselves, more about these otherworldly reasons as a reason to be in a relationship. And high vibe people have probably cut people out of their life that they saw the truth about. In high vibe, the Ace of Pentacles and the Pentacles are about lessons we've learned in truth and love. And some people, it could have caused them a lot of inner conflict, but they realized they couldn't keep moving forward in a relationship that's more mismatched. If you're being more inspired by truth and love, willing to work together with people cooperatively in a just and fair and loving way, and you keep seeing the other people aren't, eventually you're going to see the truth of it. And you're going to move on. And kind of the shadowy people in your life could have inner conflict about it, is what the Five of Wands talks about. Because you did see the truth. And you're not willing to keep kind of staying in a more mismatched relationship where you're indulging someone in poor behavior. And that you saw the truth. And then we have the Ace of Swords. And then we have the reason that came out is because of the Nine of Pentacles. We can all be in jobs, friendships, and relationships. Some of the people we can like, some of the people we don't like, some of the people we do get along with, some of the people we don't. So even if it were a job, you know, some people become independent of those jobs. The Nine of Pentacles can talk about becoming independent. And from the 1 to the 9 is the 8 of Pentacles, about who and what you're going to put work and effort into and invest your time, energy, and effort into. And the high vibe people decide, I'm not going to keep investing my time, energy, and effort into people who seem to have inner conflict about moving forward in truth and love, high vibe Ace of Swords, because there could be things they don't want to become independent of. If it's friend or family groups that they're kind of more codependent on, being more about themselves, want to maybe, would like to maybe just keep moving forward in it the way it is. Well, in anything that we start out with, the Five of Wands can be that new beginning. And we go from maybe like not sure if we want to have a more deep, meaningful relationship or a loving relationship with them, and we get to know them maybe more in the Six of Cups, 1 cup versus 6 cups. Well, it's kind of a progression, right? And so, well, some people are like, well, this is good, I'm good here. And the other people are like, I think we've gotten to know each other well enough, I'm kind of ready to kind of move forward a little differently. Are you ready to become independent of whatever you need to become independent of to move forward in this way? And some of the people do and some of the people don't. And we kind of see the truth of who is willing to kind of put in work and effort. Do we have the same goals, dreams, aspirations? You know, because high vibe people, it's continuing to move forward. You know, that's the progression of life. You kind of keep going with the flow. Let's keep healing and growing and maturing ourselves, loving and believing in ourselves, believing in our dreams. And other people might like to just indulge, that can be shadowy fire sign energy, in new beginnings, but they really don't want to put work and effort into it or really invest in it or become independent of anything else. It's like, let's just do this and let's stay here for a long time. And people can do that, and eventually some people will be, no, I'm ready to move forward. And if I think people are maybe in a shadowy Leo energy, more prideful, more competitive, more manipulative, have inner conflict about the truth, don't seem to really want to clarify the truth, don't want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship, I accept the truth of it. And the people in my life who are inspired to keep moving forward and putting in work and effort, working together to bring this common dream into reality, then I'll keep working with those people. And if nobody in my life seems to be on that page, then I'll go out to become independent of them, to go find people that are more aligned with my truth. Then we have the 8 of Cups, and the reason that came out is because of the 7 of Cups. So the 8 of Cups moves away from the Seven of Cups, and here we have the 1 cup plus the 6, that makes the 7. It can kind of be where we invested in something and there could have been good things about it, some things not such good things about it. But in the 7 of Cups is again Scorpio energy. This is Pisces energy, where again, I don't want to get in things and then they just kind of stay static. You know, I kind of thought we were going to work to bring a dream into reality, and we were going to keep kind of being loving and encouraging and supportive of each other, to all of us to believe in ourselves. And the 8 of Cups wants to walk away from the illusion. You know, I don't want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship for these different reasons. You know, are you motivated and inspired to put in work and effort in this to not be in it more for the illusion or these other reasons of the world, but because we have a dream we're trying to bring into reality? Pisces in the 8 of Cups is again about willing to transition out of things, and the 9 of Pentacles and Virgo is about, you know, seeing everything as a stage of life that we go through, but it's to keep moving forward, to keep learning lessons. Virgo's about learning lessons. We go through a stage of life, we grow, we heal, we mature ourselves, we kind of see what are the good building blocks to take with, what aren't such good building blocks to take with as we go on any journey that we're on and phases of life. We kind of see the truth of things that we need to become independent of, our own ways of thinking, feeling, believing, perceiving ourselves, others, the world, what we believe is possible. If we see those things are stopping us from kind of moving forward and still having more hope and faith and belief in ourselves. And in our worldly nature, we can all like to stay in our comfort zone. And then we can get in relationships and friendships with people who they could have more fear of moving forward in life differently. So then they want us to keep doing things the same because they want to keep doing things the same. But the 9s can be where, you know, people could have put a lot of work and effort in between the 1 and the 9. You know, you could have been somewhere for, well, probably more than 8 days, but, you know, 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years. And you put in work and effort. And we learn lessons at those stages of life that we're at, in those friendships and relationships that we're in. And then the 9s are kind of like, we could either keep doing this and maybe stay in it more because of our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our codependency, not wanting to step out of our comfort zone, or we can see the truth and listen kind of to our more creative, inspired, loving nature, kind of like our higher self, that I think it's time for me to move forward a little differently. You know, from the 9 to the 4 is to let go of the 5 of Pentacles. And the 5 of Pentacles can be this philosophy of life that we had. At every stage of life that we've been at, we have a certain philosophy of life, how we view ourselves, how we view others, how we view the world, what we believe is possible, what we think is just and fair. And that philosophy of life was different when we were like 15, 18, 21, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 for a lot of people. And, you know, it's kind of like listening to that. Love grows and gives birth to new things. And sometimes I equate it to an apple tree that, you know, an apple tree doesn't have free will. An apple tree could go to like, I don't know, 35 feet and grow 1,000 apples. But as a human being, if you were to equate us to an apple tree, some people could say, stop right here, or they could stop here, they could stop there. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm this tall. I have this many apples. I am living the dream life. I'm good. And the truth is, everybody has the free will to live their life whatever way they want. And we could know some people who never want to step out of their comfort zone. That could cause them a lot of inner conflict. So they live their life in a way that they could enjoy and that they could love. But it's just not that everyone else wants to live their life that way. Other people are like, no, I am ready to kind of step out of that phase of life and face my fears. And so that could mean in the 6 of Cups, I might have to detach or distance myself from some things and people that to a degree I loved also, but I could know it stops me from moving forward in my life, right? And if I have a dream and I may be more independent than some other people, then I'm willing to step out of my comfort zone a little bit more so than other people. And that's okay. They can live their life. They'll find other people who want to live their life that way. And then there can be people who step out of that comfort zone, but then they could want to stay at this stage of life forever, or not ready to move forward when other people in their life are ready to move forward, right? And it's for everybody, I think, probably if you have people in your life that you love and you would like them to move forward with you, you offer them truth and love, you work with them to hopefully, you know, loving and encouraging each other to work through any fears, any insecurities, to see through the illusion of all these things that manipulate us, because shadowy energy is represented by the devil, which are all these things that manipulate us. But it's all these things that try to limit us, restrict us, confine us, and imprison us. Have some hope and faith and belief in yourself. Love and believe in yourself. Just like you accomplished and were, you know, high vibe energy represented by God at the big picture kind of wants to work with you to give birth to new things. If everybody keeps repeating the same old things, we're never going to create new things, right? So some people have a little more, maybe in their air sign energy that they harness within themselves, in their Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius energy. They can have a different dream. And some people's dream is just, I have inner conflict of being more independent. And so they could be much more codependent on their friend group, their family group, the town they grew up in or something, and just have a problem being more independent, you know, and that's okay. They just need to find other people who want to live their life that way. Other people do become more independent, go through a phase of life, learn some lessons in life, maybe feel the pentacles can be, again, all these different lessons that we've learned. In high vibe, it would be actually learning lessons where there are old ways of being that you don't want to repeat, you know, and you've seen the truth. And you keep being motivated by truth and love to guide you. It's like love is what is more of the pull for some people. I believe in love. And love is to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. For some other people, that's not their truth. They have a more worldly in all three of their earth sign energies and their Virgo nature, their truth could be, I think it's more about getting in relationships and friendships and jobs, more for how it benefits me or the status or the ego or the image of it. And that's their truth. And they just look at life completely different. You know, with Gemini represents the world of duality that we live in. And there's going to be people who represent those different philosophies of life, of how they view life, how they view relationships, what they think is just and fair. And some people don't really think it's supposed to be just and fair, that it could be, you know, they're more caught up in the illusion. And that's like, and that's also like a shadowy Aquarius is how I view it. They could profess to believe that they believe in a higher truth and justice, but they might not. You know, it's just the world. There is no other game in town. We live in the world. That's the point. If the world tells us to make our life about these things, that's what we should make our life about. And we could all try to conduct ourselves like we believe in a higher truth and justice. But ultimately, they could think that, you know, there is no higher truth or justice. It's just what human beings make of it. Other people think there is more to being on this planet than just these things of the world or being about ourselves. And they do think there's a higher truth and justice. That kind of like there's rules to this game of life. And people who are a little more shadowy could have a lot of inner conflict about that idea because then they're not top dog. And sometimes people could think if I have a certain status or image or social cloud or attractiveness or money or whatever, that I'm like top dog. And then it's kind of like making themselves a god. And then they could kind of be a little full of themselves and think it's just and fair, shadowy Leo that people could harness. That I think it's just and fair to use whatever I have to maybe kind of try to manipulate people, because I think if I maybe put in work and effort to have those things, I have these things that the world wants. Of course, some people are just born with those things. Um, high vibe people can be attractive, have social clout, be victorious, be successful, have a lot of status, image, money, power. That isn't the most valuable thing they think they have to offer people. Those are perks. But the most important thing they have to offer people is that they will do deep, meaningful relationships. They're not more about themselves. They do want to work together with people cooperatively. They do have that hopeful, believing, loving spirit. They're motivated and inspired by love. That's the true gift they have to offer people. And even people who don't seem to have a lot of those things of the world that people could value, they're very just, fair, loving, and encouraging people, and they're like a gift in people's life. And some other people could have getting their ego about that because they could have put a lot of work and effort into looking a certain way, having a certain status or image or social cloud or whatever, money, status, and they think people should want to be in a relationship with them because that's what they viewed as the truth, and that's what they put a lot of work and effort into, and that's kind of what they feel they have to offer people in the world, not love, not deep, meaningful relationships, because they maybe didn't even invest in themselves very much emotionally, never learned to love themselves. They could be more codependent on the world to, look a certain way, have a certain status and image to define their worth and value in the world. Being in certain type of friendships and relationships to define them, like look at the person I'm in a relationship with, look at the person that I'm hanging out with, look what they look like, look how much money they have. It's all this thing by caught up in the illusion of the world to all these things outside of them to be the answer to make them feel victorious, successful, stable, grounded, or balanced within themselves. Other people invested in the truth. Did they put in work and effort to probably have, we live in the world. Yeah, people are going to put work and effort into maybe being healthy, maybe looking, having a certain physical fitness level, their education, their how they dress, we all do in the world can talk about the truth that we all do want to be in friendship and relationship with other people. So other people also could put work into how they dress and their hygiene and combing their hair and brushing their teeth, But some people really made those things of the world really important. Other people just did those things just because, it's good for me, it's good for my health, it makes me feel proud of myself in a healthy way. I just like to conduct myself in a way that makes me feel proud of myself. I was like, high vibe Leo. And they do invest in themselves and they put in work and effort to have some stability and security in the world and invest in their own unique talent, skills, and interests. But it wasn't with the ulterior purpose of this end goal to try to get someone to get in a relationship with me because of those things. And even if some people did, eventually, hopefully, some of those people realize that maybe more high vibrational people who are with the King of Cups and the Lovers and the Hermit is also Virgo energy, but it's kind of having done this inner work to get out of their ego, their more superficial nature, wanting to be in our more worldly nature, we can be attracted to a lot of things and a lot of people for a lot of superficial reasons. Hopefully, as people kind of grow up in the world and kind of learn some of these truths, which Virgo energy is about, that, you know, if I keep maintaining that kind of philosophy of life between the 9 and the 4 is that 5 of Pentacles, other people who aren't as caught up in those things of the world could have a lot of those things of the world, but they're not as emotionally manipulated by those things, and they're not willing to get in relationship. Like, oh, you have this characteristic, you look this way, you have this social clout, you have this power influence. They can get to know them, but when they see the truth that, oh, that it is more just surface level, they're not someone I can have a more deep, meaningful, loving relationship with, they'll go get in relationship with people who might have less of those things of the world, but it's more balanced. They work together cooperatively with people from love. They're free from their more egoic nature. They're not as caught up in the illusion. Their focus in their foundation of themselves is to be more focused on letting love and intuition guide them than the world and their fear and their codependency and their lust and their greed and needing to be indulged or something, you know, to work with people who have more self insight is what High Vibe Virgo is, who are motivated and inspired by love. And then it would be 2 people in the 4 of Pentacles making the 8 of Pentacles, where both people kind of have learned to love themselves, take responsibility for maintaining balance within themselves, loving themselves, so they temper their more worldly, egoic, selfish, being about themself nature, to connect in with their emotions and their intuition to guide them. Truth and love, and listening to their intuition to guide them. And some of the more shadowy people, their idea is, I have inner conflict probably about doing this inner work to love myself, to get more balance within myself. I still think I'm going to be happy making my life about these things of the world. That's my truth. That is the foundation they operate from. Well, they might like to be that way, but they also might not like being in relationships with people who are like them. So if they're more competitive, manipulative, they might not want to be in relationships with other people who are more competitive, manipulative. If they're more superficial and shallow and not very connected in with their emotions or very loving, and it's more the ego and the image and indulging in it, well, to be in a relationship with someone else who's maybe more superficial, where's the love? So a lot of times shadowy people are hiding behind a false mask, is what the kings can represent. Doesn't matter, male or female. The kings can represent that people are operating more from their worldly egoic nature instead of their more emotionally intuitive nature, and try to present themselves as loving, but really hiding that that's just a mask that they wear, that in their Gemini nature, they have inner conflict about love, they have inner conflict about doing deep, meaningful relationships, because in order to do a deep, meaningful relationship, you have to come out from behind your ego. You have to do the work to free yourself from all your fears or insecurities or past pain and heartbreak or self-limiting beliefs or something, to become independent of it and really be more operating from a foundation free of being more manipulated by your ego nature, and be more inspired emotionally to want to work together with people, motivated and inspired authentically from love. And some people aren't willing to do that. So they think, I have a good idea. I'm just going to create the illusion that I've changed. The 5s talk about change, and 8 of Cups walking away from something that could have been more something, some friendship, relationship, job. Like, I'm going to create an illusion about why I walked away from that. And I'm going to try to create this illusion that I've changed, that my philosophy of life has changed, that I don't view life the way I used to view it. My truth is different, that I have done this inner work to be more motivated and inspired by love. Odds are they can't do that with the people in their life who already kind of saw the truth of them. you know, those people got to know them well enough. They saw the truth. They knew that what drives them motivates them, or that they're more codependent, or they're more self-indulgent. And those people have seen the truth, and those people have detached from those people, and they're no longer in illusion about those people, which can cause those people some inner conflict and have them in their ego that other people saw through the illusion that they were trying to create about the type of person they were. And they know some of those people who moved on from them are people who are motivated and inspired by love, and offer people love, work together with people in a just and fair and loving way. And so then they have the idea, probably, I'll just go try to find someone else who doesn't know the truth about who I am, go indulge in that relationship for as long as it lasts. And shadowy people hope that if they can get people to move forward with them, take that job, get more involved in that friendship, date them, marry them, that we can all kind of be manipulated in our worldly nature to want to keep putting in work and effort to make something work. And then hoping that the next person they get in a relationship with either won't see through the illusion, because they might have learned to better hide the truth of who they are. Oh, let's see, I did this and that in that last relationship, and the other people saw the truth. So I should not, but they still think it's okay to do it. They're just like not engaging in it, which could cause them some inner conflict, because if they still think those ways of acting or behaving or treating people, or things that they might do to try to make themselves feel better or boost their ego or something, or to even when they have inner conflict, instead of offering truth and love and working together with people and offering love to the situation to get to know the truth and work through issues, they don't do that. And they could try to go about finding out the truth about things in a more immature way. And, or they could indulge themselves in ways that, their mask slipped, they were bossy, they were controlling, they were immature, they were whatever, And shadowy people have just learned better how to wear a false mask, sadly. And it's just to wear that false mask with the next person and hope the next person either never sees through the illusion of what really drives and motivates them, that it's not really love. But if they get in relationships with people who are motivated and inspired by love, eventually the high vibe people can't keep ignoring the truth. And they don't want to keep hiding the truth. Eventually they kind of figure out that it's not, it doesn't become a more deep, meaningful relationship over time. And then they have inner conflict about continuing to move forward in it. But they could hope, no, over time, I'm sure everybody's motivated by love. They'll work through it. They'll, but it's really hard to change people's core foundational truth. And if their core foundational truth is, I don't believe in love, how do you make someone believe in love? They could think love is just a thing other people use to try to manipulate people. And that can be shadowy 5 of Pentacles of Taurus. It's this philosophy of life that people don't have hope and faith and belief in love. It is that maybe everybody wants to be in friendship and relationship. Everybody wants to look victorious and successful. Everybody, wants to enjoy these things of the world. So they want to be in a relationship to enjoy those things. And that everybody's kind of more out for themselves. And people just use different things to try to manipulate people with. And shadowy people, because they have such a opposite viewpoint in life, they don't trust people who are loving because they think those loving people are just trying to manipulate them. And could be very fearful of being, they want to be, it's this thing of wanting to be the more privileged, indulged person in the relationship. And if they don't really emotionally invest themselves in a relationship, well, they are just kind of indulging in it. And then if that relationship doesn't work out, could they miss those people? Be sad that those people aren't around? Yeah. But they just kind of indulge themselves in relationships anyway. They don't emotionally invest themselves in it. And so it's just to go get in a different relationship. And the people who've been in relationships with people like that, during the course of it, they kind of had to accept the truth of it. They could have put in this work and effort thinking everybody's motivated and inspired by love. And then they had to realize the truth that we live in a world of duality. And this person seems to be it being more about them or the status or the ego or the image of it. And I don't think they're ever going to come out from behind their false mask. And I can either keep moving forward with it and hiding the truth, create the illusion of how wonderful our life is. But one person kind of wants more deep, meaningful relationships, is more maybe emotionally motivated and inspired. And the other people really don't want to do love. And so some people will stay in those relationships anyway because they do have love for those people. But they just didn't have their dream come into reality. They're not in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. And other people weren't willing to give up their truth. It's like, well, this is a lesson I learned. And I have one life to live. And I'm not going to live a life of illusion. So the people in my life who do seem to have inner conflict about truth and love, being just and fair, being more authentic, coming out from behind their ego, are more about themselves, are more about the world, want to be in relationships for those reasons, they can do that with someone else. I'm going to become independent of them. I'm going to offer myself that cup of love. You can be in a relationship that has all this stuff that looks good by worldly standards, and that Five of Pentacles can be that you feel left out in the cold. And in the Five of Pentacles, it can have a lot of these things of the world, but to have like the Ten of Pentacles, it has to be where both people are motivated and inspired by love. They both have this dualistic nature, but it's to offer love to themselves to align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. Offer love to their shadow nature so, they're more tipped in favor of letting love and intuition guide them than being about themselves or the world or their fear or something. And so it could have been very abundant in these things of the world, but it wasn't abundant in love. And the people who are more abundant in love were in a relationship with people who aren't very abundant in love. And they want a balance of both. So they became independent of that foundation to have a new beginning. And then they probably had to do some of this. Virgo Hermit talks about doing this inner work within yourself to kind of emotionally work through it, and maybe just to love themselves and give themselves. That's also high vibe Leo. I'm going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. And we all could have gotten in relationships at times in our life where we were more codependent, because when we were a child, we grew up in families and we had our friends groups and all that stuff. And those things provided a lot of love and encouragement and made us feel more stable and grounded. But we're not children anymore, and we have to learn to be more independent and kind of play that role in our own life. And some people never learn to play that role in their own life. And it's always to get in a relationship, and then in a shadowy Four of Pentacles, they can be very codependent on other people to be in relationship with them, because that's what makes them feel loved. That's what makes them feel stable and balanced. And they haven't learned to play that role within themselves. And they haven't maybe done some of this inner work to work through the past pain, heartbreak, fears, insecurities, to love themselves and believe in themselves and get more clear about their own truth and get more balanced within themselves, to feel more stable and balanced within themselves and appreciate their own unique gifts and talents and invest in loving themselves, so that then they can look to get in relationships with other people who have learned to love themselves. And some people who could be motivated and inspired by love again, or have learned to love themselves, get in relationships with people who aren't. And those people could want to stay in the relationship, but it's more for these reasons of the world or codependency. And the loving people, we're offering them love and encouragement to move forward with them. But it takes work and effort to free yourself from things that manipulate you. You'd have to be willing to deal with the truth. And you'd have to be inspired to even want to put in that work and effort to look at the truth. Why am I more fearful? Why am I more codependent? Why am I more clingy? Why do I try to manipulate or control people in a relationship? How does my past pain and heartbreak manipulate me? How does the world manipulate me? How does my immature nature manipulate me? How often do I keep indulging it? What about other people in my life? Who manipulates me? You know, the truth sets people free. They offer love to themselves in the situation. And if other people, that's not their truth, and they don't want to do that work within themselves to become independent of things that manipulate them, they want to stay in a relationship where someone else does that work and you like fill my cup. It's like, how about I tell you where I got that cup of love, and then you could fill your own cup. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. You just go get some of that cup of love and bring it back and fill my cup. You know, and that's people who want to be in a relationship with loving people, but they don't want to do that work to be loving and get more balance within themselves and free themselves from their more shadowy nature to do love. And that's when other people see the truth of it and they move on. And the shadowy people will probably go repeat this pattern, trying to find someone else who doesn't know the truth about people like them, and try to get them in a relationship, more so wearing a false mask, or I'll have sex with you, I have money, I have status, I have image, I'll be in a friendship, I'll be in a relationship with you. I just won't authentically do love. And the next person will get in a friendship or relationship with them, until those people kind of are trying to move it forward and realize the other person doesn't want to do a more deep, meaningful relationship. They like the illusion of it. Let's stay here. Let's keep doing this. Let's not become independent of this. High vibe, the Four of Pentacles in Capricorn is freeing yourself from the devil. And we can all have gotten in more codependent relationships in our life. If we learn these lessons on our journey in life, we get better and better at kind of knowing what's not aligned with our truth. Like, if I know I don't like people who say they're a bully, and I don't like to hang around people who are bullies, well, I would learn that over life, and I wouldn't hang around people who are bullies. If people are kind of immature and competitive, and I know I don't like being around people who are more immature and competitive, I just wouldn't, can I know them? Yes, but I'm going to invest more of my time, energy, and effort into people who I don't think are more immature and competitive, or prideful, or egotistical, or bossy, or controlling, or full of themselves, right? Well, let's continue on. What's coming up for people who harness a high vibe Sagittarius energy? And Sagittarius, being fire sign energy, can just be people who look at life as an adventure to be lived to learn all these lessons. There are so many things I don't know, like when you meet people and just like how they could look at life differently, and you're like, wow, I would have never looked at it that way. Or some people are just very curious people and they really like to learn things, and other people, like, why? Some people are just more curious than other people and they like to learn new things. Other people have no interest in learning new things. And so, you kind of, and trying new things. And, this came to town. We should go check this out. It's like, that's different. Let's just keep doing this. And they like keep doing the same old thing they always do. And so it's just trying to find people who you think are more on the same page as you. And then kind of learning this lesson that everybody can look like they're these just and fair and stable and grounded and loving people, but is it more that authentically that's the truth of who they are? Or is that more of kind of living more from their mind than their heart, a way of acting and behaving with people so people view them that way? But are they someone who's authentically, when you are, it doesn't mean you're ooey gooey with everyone, but with the people in your life, you freely give of yourself because you're loving and giving. And other people can have a hard time doing that more authentically. They can act like that's who they are, but because they kind of haven't learned to fill their own cup, to give anything of themselves to other people is taking away from them their resource because they don't know how to fill it up. And other people do know how to replenish their cup. And that's also why high vibe people can keep moving forward, learning these lessons, and they don't keep staying in their ego about it because they offer truth and love to the situation. They know they offer truth and love to people in their life. And if that wasn't those people's truth, then they realize that's not their truth, and they accept it. They get out of their ego about it, and they invest in facing their fears to go have this new beginning, to go find people in their life who are more on that page. And the other people they were in their ego to begin with, and they keep staying in their ego. And part of it might be because they don't want to see the truth. Shadowy, my idea is I'm going to hide from love. But I'm going to wear a false mask so that people think I am more stable, grounded, mature, that I've learned these lessons in life, that I am motivated and inspired by love. But it's not their truth. They're still operating more from kind of pride comes before the fall. I think I'm so smart. I don't really want to authentically invest in people. I get hurt doing that. And for some people, I don't even believe in love. I think everybody's just wearing a false mask. And they end up finding out that even when they meet people who are authentic and loving, like they just think those people are wearing a really good false mask. They don't believe them. They don't believe they are who they say they are. And eventually the high vibe people say, well, you cannot believe I am who I say I am. I wish you peace. I'm moving on. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy? That's too many. That they might not see coming. Just 1, 2, or 3 cards is good. The Ace of Wands, having a brand new beginning. Why? Because of the Four of Pentacles. You have your truth, other people have their truth. You have what motivates and inspires you, other people have what motivates and inspires them. And it could be in your Capricorn energy, what we think will make us happy. Some people, it's like, I'm going to make my life about me or these things of the world or things I indulge in. I am sure that is the answer. I'm sure I will be happy making my life about that. And other people, their truth is, I live in the world too. Yes, I'm going to put work and effort to have some stability and security in my life and invest in myself and my own unique talent, skills, and interests. But that is I'm more inspired in my worldly nature by love. And the other people are more inspired in their worldly nature by the world. That's what they love, or themself. And or not willing to change. And you're not willing to give up your truth. You held on to your truth. You freed yourself from more immature ways of being within yourself, being more manipulated by the world and your ego and your image and other people in the world who wanted you to stay in that energy because then you'd stay in friendship or relationship with them. And you saw the truth that you are maybe more independent than some of those people. You're not as caught up in the things of the world or the ego and the image of it. And you're more inspired by love. And you're on this journey to find people in the world who are more inspired by love. Again, it's a balance. High vibe energy is balance. Yes, I want some of these things of the world just like everybody else wants. But if it isn't inspired by love, it's like having all those things of the world and it's a resounding gong. And that's what some people are doing. They could even not even like or love their job, their friends, or the people they're in relationship with. They might not even get along. They might be very superficial and shallow, but it's all to kind of put on the show of look how wonderful our life is. Look how I've healed and grown and changed. Look how I got out of those friendships and relationships, or I quit those behaviors or patterns, but they might have had to do it reluctantly. And they're wearing a false mask hiding the truth. That it might be more for the fear, the insecurity. It might be more for the money, the status, the image. It might be where they have to indulge someone or someone indulges them because it's not really a just and fair relationship. You're going to have a brand new beginning. You have dropped the burden, done feeling wounded, done just to go with the flow. If my truth isn't other people's truth, I'm done trying to defend my truth. I'm done trying to change people's mind. You go do you. I am going to go do me. And because you took this time to love yourself and do this work within yourself, it freed you from an old foundation. You get to move on to the next level of the video game of life. And while you're doing that, the other people are going to repeat an old pattern. Because that's what some people don't get. People think, no, I'm the boss. I'll just go get in a different job, a different friendship, a different relationship. You can do that, but until you have changed, you're the same person going to another job, friendship, or relationship. And some of these people think, well, I'm not the one who needs to change. Well, if you're not willing to see the truth where you need to grow and heal and mature yourself, what manipulates you, your fear, your insecurity, your pride, your ego, your defensiveness, your more worldly nature, more materialistic nature, selfish nature, more about yourself nature, those same things are probably going to affect the next relationship. And if there's someone shadowy who tries to hide the truth from someone loving, eventually those people listen to their intuition and they move on. What's coming up for the shadowy people they might not see coming? The Four of Swords, the Fool card, the Eight of Cups. And the reason is because of the Death card. So we're either willing to heal and kind of take this leap of faith in the Death card to detach from an old way of looking life and viewing life. You could equate it to people who have a way, like someone who wants to stay like a 21-year-old all their life, or how they viewed relationships when they were 18 or 21 or 25, for example. No, this is how I view life, and this is how I think people should act and get along in relationships, and I should be able to do this, and you should do that, and I think this is just and fair. There are people who have a way of living life that they still think is just and fair, but they keep repeating an old pattern. Other people heal and grow and mature themselves. Just like, I had ways of thinking and viewing life and living life and treating people maybe and what I thought was just and fair in relationships when I was 18, 21, and 25. But eventually I healed. It's like I grew and matured myself. I needed to see through the illusion, work through my fears and my insecurities, my stubbornness or whatever, to become more independent of that, to keep loving myself, to keep facing my fears, to keep growing and healing and maturing myself, to detach from some old ways of being that aren't aligned with truth and love. The death card. But the thing is, some people, they don't want to give birth to anything new emotionally. I want to keep doing this. And then they get in relationships with people, create the illusion. The Pisces energy can be about, you should invest in me. Your dreams will come into reality. But then they don't tell the people, oh, by the way, I have my idea of the dream life. You might have had your idea of the dream life. Yeah, we're not going to do that. No, it's more my way. So that's people who don't. And that's how, in the Three of Pentacles, when we work together with people cooperatively, like if we cut this one off, people who maintain balance within themselves from truth and love, or people who kind of think it's more just and fair to be more about the world, and they get in more mismatched relationships, and they're trying to move forward, but they don't have a common truth. Their truth is different. But they, they're not willing to do love. They're not willing to work cooperatively with people. That would be more high vibe energy. In truth and love, I am willing to work together with you to bring in a common goal dream together. But if it requires them to become independent of things that they could be codependent on or indulging themselves, they still have a lot of healing to do, I guess is what I'd say. Or just a way of living life and viewing life that they think is just and fair, which can just be more about them. Because Aries energy of the Fool is about the self. They don't want to quit just being maybe more about themselves. And other people end up seeing the truth of it and they move on. It's kind of like, yeah, we should be in a friendship or relationship to bring a dream into reality. Oh, by the way, I have it. It's all my way. It's all more about me. And eventually other people see the truth of it and they move on. And then these people are like, oh, well, those people weren't caught up in the illusion of me. They're not motivated and inspired to do it the way I want. But they don't ever see the truth that they're not willing to work together with people cooperatively from love and become independent of some old ways of living life or viewing life. It's like as if they grew up a certain way or had certain friendships or relationship dynamics where people did certain things or activities or acted or behaved in certain ways. And it's like, no, we need to do that. I like that. So I'm going to act like this, and then you're supposed to act like that, and then we do this. I don't want to give birth to anything new. That's scary. Then if I step out of my comfort zone, I'd have to listen to love and intuition to guide me. That's unknown territory. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And then it's like trying to fit people in a box. And eventually people feel kind of trapped in a box. And high vibe energy is to be free to live your more authentic life, being loving and encouraging of each other, to love and encourage each other, to face your fears. And I don't know, some people could just be, I want to make my life more about conforming to the world. And high vibe energy is kind of shining your own authentic light in the world. And some people don't want to do that. No. So they're the type of people who keep repeating old patterns. They're not people who want to listen to their intuition, don't want to take more inspired action in their life, to be more independent. stay more codependent on people in their life or the world, don't want to give birth to anything new, don't want to step outside their comfort zone. And so it is kind of like, I live in this box, come live in this box with me. And other people are like, but I don't want to live in the box. I want to go on this adventure. And they're like, nope, I'm not willing to go on that adventure. It's like, okay. So the shadowy people will maybe go find other people who aren't inspired to be more independent, have more hope and faith and belief in themselves or in love, who might have inner conflict about love, and they'll get in a relationship, and if they're on the same page, that would be a just and fair relationship. If it's more everybody, let's wear our false mask, everybody make our life about conforming to the world, act like this, do this, dress like this, talk like this, don't ever be more independent, perfect. Well, it's just a dead relationship where it just doesn't give birth to anything new. You could almost substitute different people into the relationship. It would kind of still be the same because they never do give birth to anything new. And the other people are more independent, not willing to live a life of illusion, wanting to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. And those people get out of those relationships looking for other people who've gotten out of those kind of job, friendships, or relationships. Because if it's a job, it can just be people who are not who they said they were. They're bossy or controlling or intimidating or immature. And eventually people leave that job to go look for another job. And eventually, not everything we go pursue works out the way we want, but no, we don't want to go back to that. So we keep moving forward, not giving up on our dreams. And eventually we meet people who are more on the same page as us, that see the truth, have that same truth, and they want to hold on to us like we want to hold on to them and have this new beginning. Because we know each other is motivated and inspired to want to work together with us cooperatively from love. So there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.